Welcome back, my friends. Another exciting day in Empires and Puzzles brings us a brand new portal, and this time around, we got ourselves the Wilderness Portal once more, and with it comes a brand new wildcat, or is that a wild kitten? I'm not sure what's going on with this character. They are an odd looking choice. Um, I think that's good. I'm gonna go with that being a child and not like a really old what Wildcat? I really don't know. Okay, look, let's get past the art. I'm not like a huge fan of whatever's going on there, but that's fine. Let's see what this character does. Mina is going to be a dark sorcerer, and of course the sorcerer has that chance to cast mana delay upon taking damage, and that's going to slow down your opponents. And I do think that's kind of a fun thing. Mana manipulation's great. So let's get a reminder of what we have going on for the Wildcat family bonus. It is a bonus for 1, 2, or 3 heroes, and you get 5, 10, 15% chance to dodge special skills. Each special skill dodged damages the attacker for 100, 200, or 300 damage, depending on the number of wildcats that you're using. So I've always said this family bonus is okay, but it's not really that impactful overall, so just keep that in mind. All right, now moving on down, this is impactful, however. In the passes department, we do get 9 lives. When defeated, this character has an 80% chance to be revived, and when they are revived with 50% health and 80% mana. This can activate up to 9 times. Chance to revive is reduced on each activation, can't be prevented with status ailments or passive skills. So there you have it. This 9 lives gives them the ability to pop back quite a bit, makes them much stronger, and we do appreciate that. Now, we also get trait Lith Frame. Lith Frame basically means that this character's defense will not be able to be modified. So you can't do defense up, you can't do defense down. This is through anything. This means stacks, this means growth, this means basically any possible effect you can think of. You can't affect this character's defense, so just keep that in mind. It's both a positive and a negative in its own way. Okay, so then down here in the Aether Power department, we do get boosted regen. This is going to give you that boosted 300 health over 6 turns. The nice part about it being boosted is at least it will go above max HP if necessary, so we like that. Then down here, just a reminder, this 1669 defense that they have set up here in this stats, if we were to use this as an example, this is the defense that this character would always have. You wouldn't be able to go up or down from there. So when you're doing your original statting for these characters with your talents, understand that's the only time you'll be able to affect this character's defense rating. So just consider that when you are allocating your stat points on if you want this character to be a little bit tankier, you really have to do it in the stats department. Okay, so let's move on from there. We also have Orkianon of Sorrow. Sure, that's fine. Okay, so this little kitty cat seems to be a little bit on the sad side. This will be operating at slow speed. Orkana of Sorrow? Yeah. Anyway, this attack bypasses defensive buffs. I'm sure this just says that includes counterattack. Yeah, that's fine. Deals 500% damage to the target, and the target receives 4,130 poison damage over 4 turns. This effect spreads to nearby enemies and can't be cleansed. The target automatically casts Shifting Mindless on a random ally when his mana is full at the start of a turn for 5 turns. When this effect is triggered, it shifts to the hit ally and the duration is refreshed. Okay. Wow. Look, there's a lot to talk about here. Let's talk about what we like, what we don't like, what's going on with this particular wildcat. Well, first of all, we love 9 lives as a wildcat being able to pop back up. It's very frustrating, and sometimes it just feels like you drag the fight on forever, killing these things over and over and over again. So we do love that. We like the fact that we are bypassing defensive buffs. I mean, that's helpful. We always like being able to get past counterattack, so no complaints there. Um, I don't like the fact that this is going at slow speed, though. Here's the thing. I have several wildcats, so I'm kind of familiar with how this process works. And the hardest wildcats to utilize correctly are these ones running at slow. And I understand that when they die, they come back with 80% mana, and that's all good. Like that's great. And you're like, well, it's not that hard to get to 80% again or to get to 100% from 80, even at slow, but it's not as simple as some of the other things. So I find that, especially nowadays, with the number of counters that people have figured out for Wildcats, whether it be the Astral Demons, whether it be the Beauty and the Beast family, all of these things are returning these heroes with either much less mana or much less health than they're designed to be returned with. And this is causing them, especially if they're operating at slow speed, to be able to be picked off before they get that extra special off. That really is what makes them super impactful, right? Like it's them dying and returning with 80% mana and then casting their specials like almost back to back that makes these guys very, very potent and hard to handle. Um, and I think that's a look, if they don't have counters to bring against these heroes, that's great. But nowadays, I feel like everyone is smart enough to understand that counters are the way to handle Wildcats. So I have Ron, who's also a purple slow, and I try so hard to use that guy defensively in like raids and wars. He does not seem to be very impactful. Now, I don't know if this particular hero is going to suffer from the same thing because the reality is they function very differently. Ron is a hit all and does that really weird knockdown effect that never really took off in this game. This character is only going to hit one target, but it is a decent hit. So you're getting a nice 500% hit that's bypassing defensive buffs. You're leaving a very strong poison dot. So 4100 divided by 5, we're looking at like 800 and 840-ish, give or take a turn. But that's before adjusted stats for attack. So it'd be pretty easy, I think, to get this character to doing 1,000 damage a turn with their dot. And when they do, it's going to spread to nearby ally or nearby enemies, and it can't be cleansed. So I think that this is a very powerful effect if you can hit the right people. The real issue is that that sounds incredibly powerful, but nowadays there's lots of things that can resist, right? There are several things that just resist poison in general. I think like the Astral Elves, although they are a little bit dated, but they are resistant to poison. I think about things like Tunes, which just 75% resist everything. I think about debuff immunity. I think about stylish costumes. Stylish costumes, I have a very large chance to turn that, into an actual heal over time instead. Beauty and the Beast family is going to instead get healed by that, but I don't think Beauty and the Beast family is quite as good a counter because the goal is here, if you want to counter this type of effect, is to have like these types of heroes that are resistant to it in your flanks. So to the left and to the right of the tank. Because if that poison is not allowed to spread, then its effectiveness drops off significantly, like absolutely significantly. And I think that that's something to consider when building your defensive teams. There have been more spreading type effects that are out there, and if you build in some characters that are more defensive to this type of thing in your flanks, you stop its ability to spread left and right, and it really cuts down its effectiveness. So can this be incredibly powerful? Yes. Can this also be countered fairly efficiently? Also, yes. So keep that in mind. And then finally, we have the target cast the Shifting Mindless. So Shifting Mindless is a very powerful effect, but again, I think of it more of like a control effect, something that I want to have operating at a faster speed. Operating at slow is still viable, but I don't think you can effectively use it as a counter at this point. I think you would just be happy when this effect comes up. You can try to use it strategically as possible, but I certainly wouldn't bring this person as like a counter to Bernadette or something like that, because the speed at which it goes off is going to be difficult to operate over someone else who's possibly manning up faster. Does that make sense? So like, yeah, it can be useful, and yes, I think Shifting Mindless also can be a pain, but again, it can be stopped by the tunes, by the things that just resist this thing, the constructs. There are ways that you can break that chain as well. So just remember that glass could always reflect it. These are the types of things that I want you to consider. In fact, gosh, can you imagine this poison being reflected back to your own team? That would certainly not be fun. So yeah, keep that in mind. Interesting character, but I don't know if I love the entire package. I have to rate this person, right? And I'm having a hard time with it. I'm just gonna put them at an 8. I think an 8 is a good way to go because there's a lot of really interesting and fun effects going on with this character, but are they impactful in the right way? And that's where I'm not sure we're going to see as much usefulness out of this character as we'd like. Can you do great things with them? Sure. But I think you would be wrong to expect this character to necessarily be a game changer or a new meta hero. I've been off on this type of stuff before, but that's my gut feeling. We'll give him a solid 8 out of 10. If you pull this character, I mean, look, go ahead and level him, right? Go ahead. Like there's nothing wrong with that. Wildcats are fun. The effect is useful, and if you're up against the right team that doesn't build in defenses against these types of effects, this character can wreck them with mindless and with the spreading poison and everything else. So look, you just got to bring this hero to the right team, and you're going to have a lot of fun with them. So just keep that in mind as you're moving forward. I do appreciate you all for tuning in, and as you saw at the beginning of this video, I changed my intro screen to my little countdown to 1,000 subscribers. I'm getting closer. I really appreciate you all for being on this journey with me, and if you do like what I do and have not subscribed yet, just go ahead and consider it, right? Let's see if we can push myself over that 1,000 mark, which is just impactful for the way that YouTube even pushes out my content and everything else. So I think it would be great for everyone. And again, I will continue to do more videos. In fact, take a look for the Platinum Trader one that I will also be releasing today. All right, thanks everyone. We'll see you next time.